What's up? What's up? What's up, sports world? Listen. I don't usually do this on a Friday, but nevertheless, Rise Up Unlimited Radio Show brought to you by WDAP Radio and WDAP TV. Yes, it is. Man, it's a Friday. Beautiful Friday. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Like and share the show. Get your drink, your plus one, a snack, the whole 9 yards. I got a few things I need to talk about and I need to address right now. And I know that I can address the general public, the sports world, in the manner that I need to address the sports world and general public in that in that facet. So with that being said, first and foremost, I will put this out there. There are people dying over social injustice right now. There are people who are being backstabbed and sabotaged and manipulated by folks to save face, and yet come on the show and talk about this. First and foremost, again, shout out to all y'all that's on here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter right now. But I need to we got to talk about it. I got to talk about it. I haven't been able to talk about it on Wednesday shows, uh, because we talk about football and basketball a lot, which is fine and dandy. But there's some things that I need to totally address, and I'm going to address them. So let me address this first and foremost, right off the jump. Now, this is not going to be your typical. I'm talking about the NFL today. This is not going to be your typical. I'm talking about the NBA today. I'm going to address something else, and this is the WNBA that I love to cover and watch and research about. Hello, everybody that's on YouTube right now. I see you. Aiden Riley, uh, Jesus Darkel, what's good? Miss Vasquelinas, shout out to you. I might have slaughtered your name, but nevertheless, shout out to you as well. I want to make sure I shouted out everybody that I need to right now that's in the comment section. But let me get to this. Dalton Smith, what's good, my G? Let me get to it. So, right off the jump, uh, shout out to the Buffalo Sabres, by the way. NHL draft just happened today here. Buffalo Sabres making phenomenal moves. And I will talk about that more on other shows because I have plenty of time to talk about the Sabres because they're in the off season right now. And I will get to that. I promise you, I will get to the NHL too and the Buffalo Sabres. But shout out to them. Talk about this WNBA 30 poster. First and foremost, that a lot of people are roaring, having a whole stinking hell about when it comes to certain people not being on this poster and certain people being on this poster. Well, first and foremost, I want to say this. I like the WNBA 30 poster. I think it is pretty good. I don't have too many issues with the WNBA 30 poster at all. And folks will be like, well, damn, Caitlin Clark is not on the poster. Let me start off with that. Since that's what we like to talk about all the time anyway. Let's do it. I'm interested. I'll dig in and talk about it. Caitlin Clark not being on the poster. You got people like Michelle Tafoya. By the way, Michelle Tafoya. Uh, you know what Michelle Tafoya did in her journalistic years, being on football, being on the sidelines, yada yada yada. Fine and dandy. Michelle Tafoya, round of applause for that. But this is what I'm not gonna do. Just because you Michelle Tafoya does not mean that you are uh what's the word I want to use? Uh Qualified for this. Okay. Just because you might have covered the WNBA the first season does not mean that you're qualified for this. Okay. Some folks just be making these outlandish comments without context, and it's just crazy to me. Michelle Tafoya, and I might even pull up the video. Michelle Tafoya, yeah, I don't care if you to Michelle Tafoya, I'll come at you. Hey, what's good? What's good? EYALA 1056 on YouTube. What's good? um, came out here and said that what happened with the whole Alyssa Thomas, Caitlin Clark situation, that yeah, we should be outraged by it. She assaulted her, this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. She also went on this diatribe to say, oh, well, Caitlin Clark's not on the poster. Okay. You know who else is not on this poster? I'm just wondering, for shits and giggles. If you see this poster, you will see that Maya Moore is not on the poster. You will see that the actual GOAT, Diana Taurasi, is not on this poster. Sylvia Fowles is not on this poster. Cynthia Cooper is not on this poster, right? But guess who is on this poster? Guess who is on this poster? Sophie Cunningham is on this poster. I'm sorry. Are you mad that Sophie Cunningham is on this poster, but Maya Moore isn't? Are you mad that Sophie Cunningham is on this poster, but Sylvia Fowles is not on this poster? Are you mad that Sophie Cunningham is on this poster, but Diana Taurasi is not on this poster? Are you mad about that? Are you upset about that? Are you annoyed by that? And I have to say that a lot of people are so selective. I mean, they selective with energy. They're selective in when they want to support, when they don't want to support. And I have to say this for those who keep saying it's jealousy and hate, yada, yada, yada. You know what? A lot of people are jealous and hateful. And it be even the ones who call themselves trying to call out people for being jealous and hateful. There's a lot of people who aren't across the book just the way they should be. They don't have across the board energy. There's lots of people who are fickle in energy. There's a lot of people who are fickle. There's people who will fuck with you only when it's convenient. There's people who will only fuck with you just because you're at a certain level. But if you get to any other level, they ain't trying to fuck with you no more. Or they'll try to find problems to fuck with you. And I feel like this is the same here. Like this is the same case. Like we are being super extra fickle when it comes to this situation, when it comes to this WNBA shit. Let's be very clear and mindful. First and foremost, when it comes to this poster. Again, I do not see Cynthia Cooper. I do not see Sylvia Fowles. I do not see Maya Moore. I do not see Diana Taurasi. But y'all mad about Caitlin Clark not being on this poster. Where's the energy for that? That's going to segue me into another topic of discussion. And I only got so much time on here, so I got to be quick with this. Got to be quick with this today, right? Another individual by the name of Boomer Esiason. By the way, I met Boomer Esiason. I met Boomer Esiason in the Hyatt Hotel. Like I want to say it was like 15, 20 years ago. He was just an analyst, started on Sunday mornings, the analyst. He was out the league. I met him. Thought he was a cool guy, right? Cool individual. He was here for the Cincinnati Buffalo game. But Boomer Esiason had the audacity with his race baiting ass, and this is where I say some of y'all are not qualified to talk about certain stuff. I don't give a damn if your name is Michelle Tafoya or your name is Boomer Esiason. Some of y'all are not qualified because some of y'all don't even do enough research. Some of y'all don't even do enough watching to even talk or have expound on opinion on certain shit. And I need to call that out straight up. Some of y'all don't. And some of these folks sound like fools, but because their name is Boomer Esiason or Michelle Tafoya, y'all will take that and run like a dog in heat as if that shit is actual factual. It's absolute buffoonish bullshit what I've heard from these two today. Legitimately, absolute BS. So here's a quote. She's straight white basketball player and she's not being treated with any sort of respect. He also went on to say that she should take her ball and go overseas to go play somewhere else. Well, if you think that it's unsafe to play in the WNBA, I mean, can you guarantee her safety if she goes across seas to play? Notice he didn't say where she should play overseas. He just said maybe you should go overseas and play. I don't think this is the right time for that. Number one, uh, that doesn't. I don't think that makes too much sense. Uh, to be trying to go overseas, grab your ball and run. Boomericizing. Here's the other thing that I have to address because I'm tired of hearing this nonsensical stuff. Oh well, they're jealous of her because she's straight and white. Being no offense, being a lesbian is a choice. I don't think anybody who is a lesbian has a problem with somebody being straight. They chose to be lesbian. I don't think that they have a problem because she's straight. She's not the first straight and white person to play in the WNBA. That's number one. Number two, secondly, unless I live in the Twilight Zone somewhere in this area, in the America, yada yada. I can't talk about other overseas countries, yada yada yada. But usually being gay or homosexual or lesbian is frowned upon by the majority masses of people. So why would somebody who's lesbian be mad about somebody being straight? I don't make this make sense for me exactly on how now all of a sudden we're upset about somebody being straight, yet usually the masses condone homosexuality. That's make it make sense for me. Number two, Jay Renard, what makes me an expert? Sir, I'll tell you what makes me an expert. You ready? I'll tell you what makes me an expert. What makes me an expert is not only have I played the game of basketball, coached the game of basketball, but also covered basketball, whether it's on the college basketball level, whether it's WNBA. Yeah, I also researched and coached. That makes me an expert, sir. I think I'm an expert when it comes to basketball. I think I'm well qualified to talk basketball, sir. So when you ask me that, that tracks. It's typical of you to ask me that. Thank you, by the way. Appreciate that. Um, the LGBTQ might take an issue with me saying it's a choice. Sir, is it not? I'm just wondering. I think the LGBTQ community is quite comfortable with the choice of being who they are. So me saying that should have no bearing whatsoever, sir. I don't think they would take issue with that. Only somebody who doesn't understand the LGBT community would say that. But good job. It tracks. Once again, you're tracking. You're doing a good job of tracking. I'm sure that they don't have a problem with being who they are. And yes, that's a choice. Usually it's a choice. Jay Renai, I could care less what you think. Be honest with you. When you say stuff like that, I could care less. If that's what you think, if that's what you say. Remember, I just was talking about sideline hatred. Remember, I was just telling you about people who behind closed doors have certain feelings towards people and they can't keep their energy can't be across the board. Jay Renai, you're starting to look like one of those people. And I don't know if you're playing or not, but I'm not playing. Okay. So let me put that out there. Um, yeah. So miss me with this whole she's white and straight, and that's why people hate on her. No, no. Miss me with this whole narrative that they're trying to end her career. No, they're not trying to end her career. They're just trying to end the sorry ass narratives that you guys have totally made up to try to inflate this lovely individual like a Goodyear tire or a Goodyear blimp. You guys have made up all of these narratives to try to inflate this girl, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Jay Renard, do you want me to get canceled or something because of what I just said, sir? Is that what you're going for? Sir, like I said, I'm sure that LGBT community folks don't have a problem being themselves. Again, like I said, so if you misunderstood what I said, you might want to inbox me instead of what you're doing right now, which is quite annoying. Uh Christian, yes. Overrated. No, I don't know if she's okay. I will say this. I don't think, and yes, she is better than Angel Reese because again, she plays the sexier position. And it's looked upon more. I mean, Angel Reese has things she needs to work on. But in this case, I'm hearing these terrible narratives. It's some terrible narratives out there. Terrible, terrible, god awful narratives. We got to, yes, their roles are different, totally different. And this is why I keep telling people about trying to compare them anyway. First of all, fundamentally wise, Angel does her job. Fundamentally wise, Caitlyn does her job. Would I say Caitlyn does her job a little bit better? Sure. Would I say Angel is a bad player? Hell no. Angel Reese, are you kidding me? Angel Reese's style of play tracks. You want to know why it tracks? Because she did the same thing in college and the same double double she was getting in college, she's getting in the WNBA. It ain't different. Her style of game tracks. Now you could call her Dennis Rodman or whatever you want to call her. I've heard people call her a thug, yada yada yada, all this nonsense. But whatever. These are two great players in the league. I'm not gonna hate on either one of them. But what annoys me is the extra inflation by a lot of folks. They like to inflate. They like to subject. And as I stated earlier, a lot of you Clarkies do her disservice. A lot of y'all are putting on extra expectations and extra shit on her because a lot of folks couldn't cut it. So let's vicariously live through Caitlin Clark and put all this on Caitlin Clark. Bro, that's going to be a major issue. That is going to be a major issue. Okay, I'll say this. Some are born that way. That's fine and dandy, but they choose to continue to do that. You have a choice to continue. So regardless, they're comfortable with who they are. Jay Renat, at the end of the day, you're not gonna get me off of that. They're comfortable with who they are. And I don't blame them. Congratulations to the people who actually comfortable with themselves. Because there's a lot of people who pretend like they comfortable with themselves. We won't go there. Now, getting back to this. And that's why a lot of people inflate Caitlin Clark because they're not comfortable with who they are as individuals. So now we get to this whole Alyssa Thomas. We get to this whole Alyssa Thomas situation. The people who said she was white, Jackie White, that's a stupid analogy. Yes, it is. Dumb. That's dumb as hell. That is an absolutely dumb narrative. I don't understand why people continuously, constantly keep coming up with these silly ass narratives. First and foremost, folks think that AT, by the way, during the game, wasn't called for a foul. Wasn't called for a foul, nothing. By the way, refs, get your head out your ass and get in the game. I keep saying this about refereeing. I keep saying this about different sports EDs when it comes to refereeing and sports betting. Get your head out your ass. Stop trying to sports bet on the low. You think you're slick, you're not slick. I'd be auditing every single one of these damn refs in every league at this point. But get your head out your ass and start calling shit. Because I'm gonna be honest, the Alyssa Thomas thing should have been a foul, whether it was intentional or not. It should have been a foul. I would have even been okay with a flagrant one because anything hands contact above the chest area technically is a flagrant one. By rule book standard, it is a flagrant one. But what I'm not going to allow you to do is sit up here and be like, oh, it was an intentional attack like Michelle Tafoya was talking. Please be quiet. I don't care if you've been 30 years on a sideline in the NFL. I don't care about that. That tracks only the people who haven't been in that, who over glorify celebrities and shit. folks will, like a dog in heat, bite on to what somebody say just because of a name. Stop that. Do some research for yourself. Michelle Tafoya ain't played no basketball. Do you know what fighting for a loose ball looks like? No. AT was fighting for a loose ball. She was trying to catch her balance, and her hand ended up somewhere it shouldn't have went. And that's what you should call. All the extra stuff about her trying to fight. Look at after the play when she tries to avoid her. She totally tried to avoid her, but somehow she's being attacked. Funny how that tracks. Funny how that tracks. Now we got all this outrage about it. But I just want to ask a question. Did y'all have this same outrage when AT literally slammed Angel Reese to the floor by her neck, slammed her on her back by her neck on the floor? Did y'all have that same energy then? Were y'all talking about player safety then? I'm just wondering. For just shits and giggles, for anybody who was y'all talking about it then? Were y'all talking about it when Caitlin Clark literally shoved Angel Reese to the floor? Was y'all talking about player safety then? I'm just wondering. For those who claim to watch the WNBA, for those who are supposed experts, for those who claim that they such NBA, WNBA followers and supporters, did y'all have that same energy? I don't think so. Did y'all? Matter of fact, watch this. I'll flip it on its ear and I'll create a whole nother scene. I'll create a whole nother scene with it. Shout out to my guy, Charlie Clips, who says that all the time in his battle raps. I can flip a whole script and then create a whole nother scene with it. Okay, I'll create a whole nother scene with it. Ready? Let's play. Oh, it was intentional, right? So let's say it was intentional. That she did that intentionally, right? I'm just wondering how many people gonna be honest and truthful and tell me, did they not see during the game that Caitlin Clark literally followed Dewana Bonner behind her, walked behind her like she was gonna do something to her? Y'all didn't see that? Nobody saw that? Nobody saw when Caitlin Clark was walking right behind Dewana Bonner, right behind her back, as if like she was gonna do something to Dewana Bonner? Nobody saw that? Okay. Last I checked, AT is Dewana Bonner's wife. How many folks would be okay with somebody doing something to your wife and you ain't gonna stand up for her? How many? How many folks? How many folks would be a-okay with somebody doing something to your wife and you not do nothing about it, or you not stand up for them, right? Now, mind you, that's her teammate, right? So we got all this outrage about that, right? All this outrage. Sophie Cunningham was pointing her finger at Dewana, and Dewana was pointing at her. But did y'all have that same outrage when Sophie Cunningham literally gave JC Sheldon a hard foul when she threw her to the floor, when she threw her to the floor by her neck, and then when JC Sheldon got up, then grabbed her by her neck? Did y'all have that same energy? I'm just wondering, was the same energy given for that? Did Sophie Cunningham get a 1-game suspension? Did she? I'm wondering. For those who claim to watch the WNBA, for those who claim that they support the WNBA, did I hear outrage about that? No. In fact, you know what? In 2026, see, this is what I love about 2026. There's a thing called receipts. We can go back and go look to see what type of energy a lot of y'all had. And a lot of y'all was calling Sophie Cunningham Caitlin's enforcer, remember? Oh, she's an enforcer. She had her back, yada, 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 the whole 9 yards. Oh, she's a thug. JC Sheldon's a thug. Marina Mayberry is a thug. Angel Reese is a thug. Everybody a thug when it comes to Caitlin somehow. Everybody a thug. Everybody's an animal. But y'all ain't had that same energy. None of y'all had that same energy when it was the other way around, which tells me protection for the complexion is a thing, is an actual thing. Yet Michelle Tafoya comes on here and running her mouth about, oh yeah, Caitlin Clark, kid, they attacked her and yada yada yada. Michelle, some things, just because you're a name does not mean you're qualified to make certain comments as such. And I almost want to play the video because I swear, like, I'm bedazzled. I'm not even bedazzled. It tracks. It tracks. It tracks. Yeah, it's a WNBA problem. Absolutely. It is a WNBA problem. It's a WNBA problem that they can't get this shit together. That it can't be straight across the board. That it's all this hot and cold Katy Perry crap. It's annoying. It's quite annoying to say the least. But here's what else is annoying. And here's why people get upset too. And I'm going to pull this up. Here's why people get annoyed too. Some teams are going to be rougher than others. Absolutely. Cap, absolutely. If you play basketball, you know that, though. If you play basketball, you know this. If you coach basketball, you know this. You know this. Everybody want to make this about Caitlin Clark and race, even though, let's be clear, the only reason why a certain fan base watches is because of racial overtones. But then, and then Michelle Tafoya's on there on the video talking about how the whole league owes Caitlin Clark. No, the fuck they don't. How disrespectful. How disrespectful to the people who bust their ass, worked hard, the whole 9 yards, and you're saying just because her white, racist, bigot, damn fan base showed up all of a sudden after literally, see, this is why I love receipts. You can go back. They literally didn't even want to support the WNBA. All of a sudden decided to support the WNBA when Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark came out. I find it quite interesting. It tracks though. Timetable tracks too. It's quite interesting. But let's talk about this real quick. Let me get to this. And this is another reason why people get upset. Caitlin Clark threw 70 career games. By the way, please watch the verbiage that's used on these stats. By the way, Sportskeeda put this out. Sportskeeda. Now, hey, Jay Renaud, you asked me how am I an expert? Watch this. I'll prove how I'm an expert. Ready? Let me bust your bubble. Expert. We about to be on expert mode, okay? This is not beginner mode like when you play Madden and you can pick. No, this is expert mode. So it says that she had more points than A'ja Wilson, more assists than anyone, and more threes than anybody, right? More points than A'ja Wilson, more assists than anyone, and more threes than anyone, right? So my question is to you, right? If I can prove that one of these is false, it means that the whole stat is false, right? Right? If one of these are false, it means that the whole stat is bullshit, right? Okay, well, I'll prove it to you. Ready? Let me tell you how slick some of y'all is, how slick some of y'all media pundits is. First and foremost, Caitlin Clark, and this is why they put it up, because according to some of these media dummies, Caitlin Clark has played 70 career WNBA games. Well, if you actually did some research, you would find out that Caitlin Clark has played 72 career games in the WNBA. It's not 70, it's 72. And let me tell you why that 2 matters. That 2 matters is because they didn't count the 2 playoff games in 2024 where the Fever got swept by AT and the Sun. They didn't include that, where she scored 11 and 25 points in those 2 playoff games. They didn't include that. So guess what? If you do research right now, if you go on Google right now, Google will tell you that Caitlin Clark scored 1,343 points in 70 regular season games. Last I checked, career includes playoff games. Am I right or wrong? Just, I mean, for shits and giggles, am I right or wrong? Career includes playoff games. It doesn't just include playoff games. Career means your entire career. And I thought that was in any sport, unless we want to move the goalposts. Interesting. Move the goalposts. It tracks, right? So if you add Caitlin Clark's 70 actual games, which includes the 2 playoff games, you would have to remove her 2 games that she just played against Phoenix when she scored 19 and 24 points. So 19 and 24 is 43. So take away 43 points from 1343, and what do you get? 1,300 points. That's exactly the amount of points Caitlin Clark scored in her first 70 career games. Guess how many points A'ja Wilson scored in her first 70 career games? And that includes her 5 playoff games that she had between 2018 and 2020. That's right. A'ja Wilson scored 1,304 points, which means this stat is bullshit. And you wonder why people get annoyed. That was expert mode, by the way, for those who wondered how I'm an expert. Yeah, she scored more points, 4 more points than Caitlin in her first 70 games. But yet, we will put this out there, and there's thousands and probably millions of people that will bite on this information like a dog in heat and be like, oh, yeah, Caitlin Clark, which I've already seen today, like a dog in heat, and be like, oh, yeah, Caitlin Clark, yada, yada, yada. Here's the other thing. See, this is why I like doing shows with people. Like, hey, shout out to Marcus Best, by the way, because we always talk about context matters, right? Context matters. I would also love for anyone who actually does research to go tell me how many 3-point shots A'ja Wilson took in her first 3 seasons. It might bedazzle you. It might surprise you. It might surprise you. It might surprise you. Cortez, you're wrong, sir. Career includes playoffs, sir. I don't know how you didn't think playoffs. How do you think playoffs don't are not included in career? Please tell me. Go ahead and tell me that. Cuz Tom Brady's records, you think that those records aren't included in his playoff records aren't included in those records? You don't think so? That's laughable, sir. That is very laughable. You're wrong. Playoffs is definitely included when you talk about career stats. Your career isn't just based off regular season, it's based off of playoffs too, sir. But go ahead and try to tell me again. Try to tell me again. Again. Yeah, I find it hilarious. I just find it hilarious. How many 3-point shots do you think A'ja Wilson took in her first 3 seasons? You will be bedazzled since you want to play the regular season game. I'll play along with you, Cortez, since you want to play the regular season game. And A'ja Wilson only took 1 3-pointer her entire first 3 seasons. 1. And when I say 1, I don't mean she made 1. I mean she attempted 1. She attempted 1. Yet we're gonna put up here Caitlin Clark through 70 games. See what I'm talking about? You think players don't see this type of shit? I would get annoyed too. But as I said, if you can prove if that one is wrong, then the whole stat is wrong. Which, by the way, she doesn't have more assists than anyone either. But that's for another time. You guys are super hella fickle. And that's my issue. You guys are hella fickle. The type of guys who will put quantity over quality. The type of guys that will run with narratives to save face, to keep nonsense going, whether it's false or not. I just find it hilarious at this point. It's hilarious. And then you got people like Michelle Tafoya and Boomer Esiason coming out just making outlandish comments. Outlandish. It's crazy work. But where's that energy? I told you about people with their energy. I told you this year I've been all about talking about people's energy. And oh yeah, I got a video right here, by the way. Yes, I'm showing it.
So I spent 30 years on the sidelines. Of the biggest stages in American and international sports, including the NBA and WNBA. Now, I've seen hard fouls. I've seen things get out of control, but I have not seen anything like what happened to Caitlin Clark this week. She was kneed, pinched, took a fist to the throat, and then an attempt to stomp on her. Okay, so that's not basketball. That's a targeted assault. And everyone watching knows it. Now, the WNBA finally suspended the player involved, and that's fine. That's the minimum. But this isn't like the first time this has happened. This is a pattern. There is a target on Caitlin Clark's back, and the league that owes its entire cultural moment to her has been far too slow to protect her. Caitlin Clark dragged an entire sport back into the national, I would say international conversation. She has filled in arenas. She has brought in millions of new fans. Now, I spent my career fighting to be taken seriously in rooms where some people weren't sure I belonged. I know what it looks like when an institution protects itself instead of the person making it better. WNBA, please make a decision. Are you going to protect your players or keep looking the other way while your biggest star gets targeted week after week? You don't just protect her because it's the right thing to do, but it is the right thing to do. You protect her because you owe her. And by the way, why was she left off the 30th anniversary poster? I covered the league, the WNBA, in its first season and a couple seasons thereafter. And I must say that this doesn't have to do with her inexperience or her youth, because Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are in the poster, and I don't begrudge them for that. But why not Caitlin Clark? Just like you left her off the Olympic team, now you're leaving her off the poster. Are you mad because she has State Farm commercials? She's lifting every one of you because of her success. When is this going to stop? When are people going to be big enough and have the character to say, hey, maybe it's because of Caitlin that we're all having more success, that we're all getting paid more? I don't know what it's going to take, but Caitlin, a lot of us have your back, and I'm one of them.
The fandom is real. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Last I checked, Caitlin Clark wasn't even one of those people who was fighting for more wage. But okay. Again, we'll tell the story. We'll tell the story any way we want to. All right. Got it. With that being said, it's been fun. Oh, and by the way, for people who saying that they don't include they don't include playoff stats in your career stats. Go look up Tom Brady's stats right now. And by the way, those include his playoffs. But go ahead and tell me again that somehow playoff is not included in your career. Lord have mercy. Wow. Wow. I don't know when all of a sudden regular season was just your entire career. Where did we get that from? Where did we get that from? I need to know. I need to know personally. Where did we get that from? If they didn't include playoff stats, then they wouldn't include Super Bowls. They wouldn't include. No, absolutely not. But I'm good. I will see y'all later. I just wanted to talk about that real quick. I'll see y'all later.